Это все красиво звучит, понимаете? И причем по-русски. Как какой-нибудь римский Корсаков, Рахманинов. Ну, соотношение. И после этого
About like talking too much.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think that you're a pretty special guy for doing this. Because you're really, what you're doing is you're giving people who don't feel like they could talk about things an opportunity to talk about things. I feel like it's very, like, I would say generous.
Well,
But it's self-serving completely for you.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. I know you're just a cynical, self-serving
I mean,
piece
do
of
you
shit.
have this kind of
Well,
feeling?
I
That's
think
what I'm-
most really great historians know that, cognitively, we live in multiple temporalities at once. Right now, you have multiple temporal frameworks in your head. You have one that takes you deep into your family's past. You have one that's about what happened last week. You have one that's about just being here right now. And so I think we're always living in multiple layers of time at once. I think that's part of the human condition, and it's also part of probably how we would define higher intelligence. You can see longer trends, and you can also be present in the immediate and responsive to the immediate.
I'm just not gonna have.
I think that you
I'm
can't,
never gonna meet people like this.
and I think similarly, therefore, we sort of live in three temporalities at once too. We live in the past, the present, and the future. Those are not things that are extricable from one another in our brains. We, any given moment we're projecting back and forward. Something came from somewhere and it's going somewhere, and that's because I think just when you think of the nature of causality, you have to make sense of how things happen in the world.
These people are graduating. So are these people. So am I 4 days from now. Last week I returned all the books I used to write my thesis. The thesis was about the war in Ukraine's Donbass, the region my grandfather was from. He was a Soviet pianist and composer, and his roommate helped write Ivan's Childhood and Andrei Rublev with Tarkovsky. I guess he's part of the reason I wrote that thesis, and the reason I'm making this movie. He hated movies, and would hate this one especially. But it's important that he's in it, because I want everything to be in it. Everything that's influenced my identity. And I want those things to be tangible, chronicled, and archived. My professor told me I'm obsessed with oblivion. How can you not be?
I was really, really anxious, and I was talking to my mom, and we were trying to figure out why I was anxious, because it was affecting my relationship with the people around me. And we were talking about it, and I told her that I was anxious because I couldn't see anything. Like, I feel like routine is awesome because you wake up and you sort of can see a little bit into the future. You don't actually know how it will manifest itself, but you know roughly what you will try to do. And I told my mom I couldn't even see how the drive would go. I was very anxious about the drive to LA. I was like, I don't understand. I'm scared, and I don't know how this drive will go. And she offered to tell me how it would go, And she told me, she was like, you're going to get in the car, you're going to leave later than you wanted to, that's fine, you're going to immediately pull over and get food and make yourself even later. You're going to drive on the 101 and you're going to be in a great mood and you're going to be talking a lot because you don't understand that you have 6 hours. You're talking like you're going to be there in 30 minutes. And you're going to keep going and you're going to start getting tired and you're not going to realize it. After an hour, you're going to be on Pacheco Pass, and you're going to drive by the fruit stands. You're going to pull over and get some fruit, and it's going to cheer you guys up. You're going to switch drivers. Then you're going to get to the big part, which is the 101, you know, the long stretch with 2 lanes, and you're going to be going like 95 miles an hour, and someone is going to blow by you, and you're going to look at each other and laugh. Then you're going to get over the grapevine. You guys have completely stopped talking to each other by this point because you ran out of things to say. And then the last 30 minutes will take the longest because your destination is a tangible thing. And that made me feel like so much better because now, even if that's not what happened, I had some idea of what it would look like. But then exactly all of it happened, you know, down to all, especially when someone blew past us when we were going 95 miles per hour. I told Emilio, I was like, dude, you're not gonna like believe what my mom told me. She predicted all of this stuff. So in that way, I think right now I can't see the future, but it's okay because the people around me will start to tell me what they think will happen, and it will calm me down.
Aaron has his mom predict the future for him. I guess I also try to have others answer my anxieties about the future, but I don't really want the future my mom predicts for me. Usually involves me becoming a psychiatrist. I don't think she likes my movies very much. Makes me think of a passage from Julian Barnes. It's nice to have someone else tell you what to think. When you're young, you think you can predict the likely pains and bleakness that age might bring. You imagine yourself being lonely, divorced, widowed, children growing away from you, friends dying. You imagine the loss of status, the loss of desire and desirability. You might go further and consider your own approaching death, which, despite what company you may muster, can only be faced alone. But all this is looking ahead. What you fail to do is look ahead and then imagine yourself looking back from that future point, learning the new emotions that time brings, discovering, for example, that as the witnesses to your life diminish, there's less corroboration and therefore less certainty as to what you are or have been. Even if you have assiduously kept records in words, sound, pictures, you might find that you've attended to the wrong kind of record keeping. History is that certainty produced at the point where the imperfections of memory meet the inadequacies of documentation. I followed all the official history that's happened in my own lifetime. The fall of communism, Mrs. Thatcher, 9/11, global warming, with the normal mixture of fear, anxiety, and cautious optimism. But I've never felt the same about it. I've never quite trusted it as I do the events in Greece and Rome, or the British Empire, or the Russian Revolution. Maybe I just feel safer with the history that's been more or less agreed upon. Or maybe it's the same paradox again. The history that happens underneath our noses ought to be the clearest, and yet it's the most deliquescent. We live in time. It bounds us and defines us. And time is supposed to measure history, isn't it? But if we can't understand time, can't grasp its mysteries of pace and progress, what chance do we have with history? Even our small, personal, largely undocumented piece of it.
There's a...
Hey,
Yakub!
Hey,
What's
man.
up?
Doing laundry? Okay. Nice to see you, man.
Nice to see you. Love Yakub.
So chill.
He should be in the movie, man. He's such a great character.
Yeah.
I love that he lives right here. Like, we always see him.
My landlord hates him for some reason, for no reason.
Oh.
I think my landlord's a dick.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you hate Yakub?
I know. That's so crazy. Yeah, he's such a nice guy. I've never, like, he's the sweetest guy ever.
He's actually.
When I was a camp
So when
counselor, they
Yakub
taught me
comes over,
what happens
he's
to
like-
kids on the last 3 days of
Well,
camp.
Anticipates
So
the
let's say you have a 2.5-week session of camp, sleepaway camp. The first,
Like,
the day they're awkward. In the night when they have to sleep there, something happens to them, and in the morning they decide that these people are their brothers, and then they spend the first week actually becoming brothers, actually knowing everything, doing things together, and sort of dealing with problems together, like having fun together, and that's great. But then also like doing activities they don't want to do and bonding over that, and like stuff goes wrong, and this guy likes this girl, or whatever, and so they become friends. And then the second week is like pure. Well, no, sorry. The first week is pure. The second week is probably they're actually brothers, or all are happy families, or happy in their own ways, or whatever. So like, anyway.
Из реки смотрит с холма, ищет в песке ночную звезду. Ту, что с небес упала вчера. В жарком песке, в медленный день, ночью она спит у огня, спит у огня, спит до утра. Кто помнит то, что было вчера? В жарком песке, в медленный день.